This is a 2005 Burns of London Club Series marquee. It has an alder body, a rosewood capped maple neck, a scroll headstock, a segmented pickguard, clearly a green burst, and 3 Alnico Resomatic pickups. It was made in Korea, and it has 1 volume, 2 tone, and a push-pull switch to allow for the Gilmore circuit. Burns guitars were famous in the 60s, with players like Hank Marvin being part of their oeuvre, and more modernly, they have been played by the likes of Gaz Coombs of Supergrass, of Graham Coxon, formerly of Blur, by the Zootons, by Alex Kapranos from Franz Ferdinand, so it's definitely an indie rock machine, but it was also played by We Should Be Dead, who were featured in one of my more recent 5 songs you've probably never heard before in video. Back in the day, these would have sold for about £300, adjusting for inflation, that's about 530 or so. And then if we kind of convert that over, then that's going to be around 615 or so euros, putting it on par with a mid-range instrument. And honestly, I love it. Hey everybody, welcome back to the Sonic Chronicle. My name is Owen, and as you will have seen in the intro, today we're talking about this. This is a 2005 Burns guitar. I saw it online and I had to buy it, frankly. It is the Club Series from 2005. This is the Marquee model, which was formerly known as the Marvin model. Some of you might be aware of Burns guitars before, but just as, I suppose, as a little bit of a history lesson, or a minor history lesson, Burns are very much an English brand, a British brand. Try saying that 10 times fast. They're a British brand who made really nice instruments throughout the 60s, up to, I suppose, the 80s. Had a little bit of a resurgence in the 90s. After they were taken over by another company. Another resurgence again in the early 2000s, which is when they made this. They also started making a Brian May signature around that time as well. The Marquee model was voted the Guitar of the Year in 1999 and 2000. And, they were played by the likes of Gaz Coombs from Supergrass, bands like the Zootons, Alex Kapranos from Franz Ferdinand. Very much an indie rock machine, British indie rock machine, I suppose. I've had this for about 2 weeks or so now in my possession, and when I saw it, I thought that is a guitar with legacy, that is a guitar with history, and I would like it. Now, at the time that these originally were released, they sold for about £300, maybe £350. Adjusting for inflation, that goes up to about 560 to 600 pounds in today's money, which again converted to euros is going to go over that again, like 600 or so, 600 to 630, 640 or so. However, that would kind of put it in line with something along the lines of like a PRS SE or like an Epiphone Les Paul standard, or perhaps even something along the lines of like the ESP Les Paul style models, the LTDs. So this puts it up there with some fairly heavy hitters of the modern day. And there's a number of things that I really, really like about this that kind of show that level of pedigree. The build quality of this thing is really, really good. It's weighty, it's heavy, it feels like an instrument that is a step above things that I own, right? Things that I've played and I've owned before. Like my Pacifica, it's certainly a step above that. It's, in terms of its build quality, it's a step above my SG, and even my Telecaster. One thing that is very different about this compared to the Pacifica and the Telecaster is that the neck is lacquered. It has a lacquered finish on the back. I've only had a painted finish on my SG before. Generally speaking, I like my guitars without any finish, with a natural, I suppose, finish on the back. and this is lacquered, and I don't hate it. It's a really nice feeling neck. It's wide in terms of the fretboard, but it's really thin at the back. So it gives this really, really nice profile that makes it feel really fast. So it feels really good to kind of do like nice little legato pieces like that. This won't be everyone's cup of tea though. I'm very much aware of that. It's got 3 single coils for one thing, so you don't have the versatility of having a humbucker in there. But it is versatile in other ways, and I'll talk about that in a moment. This isn't a hardtail. This is a tremolo bridge, which I have had taken time to, tighten up the claws and the back of the guitar. So that was a piece of work that I had to do with it. When it arrived, it was actually floating somewhat above, and it was set up accordingly. So I had to drop that trem down, and I had to adjust the saddles down here to ensure that it was maintained the action on it. I love the color. I love the green burst. It's unique. I don't really see it that often. I love this brash handmade by Burns of London, despite the fact that it was definitely not handmade and it was made in a Korean factory in 2005. I love this segmented pickguard, that's with this odd shape down here. It's just super cool, really catches the eye. I love that it's really brash about having Resomatic written on these single coils as well, on these pickups. Again, really kind of tying itself into the brand, generally speaking. I love the scroll headstock. It is ornate, it is audacious, and it is ridiculous, and I kind of love it. As mentioned before, I love the weight of this thing. It makes it feel really nice. I love little touches on it. Like I've got this generic strap on it, but if you look very, very closely here, you can see that on the strap locks, on the strap buttons, there's like a nice little piece of felt where it meets the wood. And it's just a nice little touch to kind of promote that idea of it being more premium than, say, your standard starter guitar. I also like the sensitivity of the tuners. They're very sensitive, so when you are tuning up, you are able to get very, very precise with them, which is great. I love it. I love that. I love the body shape. I love these ornate angles here. I love how they curve in here, and this is kind of like an SG style horn at the bottom here. The upper fret access is perfect. I love that. I love all of that. Something that I don't necessarily like about it is, again, the weight. This is probably made of, say, alder. I think it's an alder body. It is a little bit heavier than your standard, but it is quite a thick guitar as well, so that might play into that. I saw online that these were made of alder or basswood. I don't think it's basswood. Basswood tends to be very light. I've got other instruments made of basswood, or I've played other instruments made of basswood, and they tended to be very, very light, so I don't think that this is basswood. It is also only single coils, right? So you don't have the versatility of a humbucker, and frankly, it doesn't do great when you throw a lot of distortion, a lot of dirt on it. It doesn't do fantastic in that regard. What I do really like, though, is that despite that, it is quite versatile in terms of the single coil tones and the clean tones that you can get, and that is because of this. This is a push-pull, and this allows me to enable both the neck and the bridge pickup at the same time, or all 3 pickups at the same time. And it gives me that little bit of, I suppose, additional tonal options. in here. Throughout this video, you've probably been hearing some snippets of how it sounds, and I think it sounds really good. I think it sounds really crisp, but I don't think it's going to be the kind of thing that I use all the time in terms of recording. Like you've probably heard a lot of my stuff. I tend to record heavier stuff at the moment. Maybe when I kind of go back to playing maybe a little bit more sensitive stuff, maybe a little bit more poppy, this will become much more useful in my arsenal. But until such a time, this is going to be something that I just enjoy. It's not something that is going to go onto a recording. As I said, I got this for what I would consider to be a steal. The second-hand market of these things, they tend to go for around $350 to $650, so similar to their original price back in 2005 or so. I got this for 200 euros. So I would consider that to be a bit of a bargain. That said, as I said, there were a few things that I needed to do to get this into the condition that I would like. And frankly, there's still a few bits that I'd need to do. There's gunk on the fretboard still from the previous owner that I really, really, really need to clean off. I needed to adjust the trem. I needed to tighten up the claws in the back. Yeah, aside from that, though, there's not a ton else that needs to be done with it. The frets are also in surprisingly good condition for how old this guitar is. It's definitely very well loved as an instrument. It was definitely played, but it was definitely loved. The other thing as well that is a bit odd to me is that these knobs, they're not standard. They're not factory standard. So I think that these have been replaced at some point. Well, if they're not factory, they've definitely been replaced at some point. But what they have replaced them with is pretty nice. So these like nice stainless steel knobs with this rubberized outside of them, or rubberized part of them, means that you can kind of turn them really nicely, really easily. This switch here feels really good, frankly. So yeah, I really like a lot about this guitar, and anything else is largely cosmetic. Anything else is largely cosmetic, or to do with the versatility of sound, I suppose. But yeah, that's my Burns 2005 Marquee. It's an odd one. It's an interesting one. It's not going to be for everyone, but I think it's for me. So if you'll pardon me, I'm going to enjoy it a little bit.